Welcome to Tradutex Portuguese Lessons Podcast. Olá, eu sou a Helena and on this episode we're going to talk about numbers. First thing, how do we say numbers in Portuguese? Como se diz numbers em português? Okay, so the word for numbers is the word números. Okay, more slowly. 3 syllables. Números. 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 The numbers. Os números. So let's start with the first number. Before 1, we have 0. And 0 it's not too different from English. We say zero. 2 syllables. Zero. Zero. That's the first one we're going to learn today. Zero. And if we're doing a phone number, for instance, we never replace in Portuguese the number zero with the letter for O. That would be O, but we don't do that. So if you see a zero, you just say zero. So the following one, number 1, we actually have 2 possibilities to say number 1. I don't know if you know about this, but in Portuguese, we have a masculine one and a feminine one. So let's learn them first, and then I will explain you how do we actually use them in a context. So number 1, masculine is Easy one, just 1 syllable, very nasal. Then if it's a feminine one, we say uma. So number 1 can be or uma. So how do we know when should we use and when should we use uma? It's really just about the context. Everything in Portuguese is masculine or feminine. So if the following word, if what we say afterwards, after the word 1 is a masculine word, we should say I don't know if you still remember from lesson number 1, we've learned the words for day, afternoon, and evening or night. So we've learned that the word for day is the word dia, and although it ends at the letter A, or in Portuguese, A, it's actually a masculine word, which means that if I want to say one day, I need to pick my masculine number 1. Dia. Dia. So it's all about the following word, because let's think together. If instead of dia, I wanted to say one night, and we've learned that the word for night or evening in Portuguese, there is no difference between evening or night, so is the word noite. Noite, we need to choose. So noite, we've learned, is a feminine word. Because if you still remember from episode number 1, if you want to say good evening or good night, we should say boa noite. But if you want to say good morning, we say bom dia. Bom, it's masculine. Boa, it's feminine. So if I want to say one evening or one night, we say uma noite. Okay, so now you start to understand how do we choose in between or uma. If the following word is masculine, dia. Uma, if the following word is feminine, uma noite. And then we will have to apply the same exact logic for number 2, because also for number 2 we have a masculine and a feminine. So if the following word is masculine, let's pick the same example. Let's say you want to say 2 days. So in order to make the word dia, a plural word, we just need to add the letter S at the end. So instead of dia, we say dias. Dias. So if you want to say 2 days, remember dia is a masculine word, so if you want to say 2 days, we say dois dias. So the masculine number 2 is the word dois. Dois. You see how at the end of the word we have a soft sound sh. Sh. That is important. Try to remember this because that will make a big difference when then we learn the word for 12. So we'll come back to that later. Now I just want you to remember that number 2 is dois if it's followed by a masculine word. For instance, dois dias. So now let's learn how do we say 2 if it's followed by a feminine word. And the word we need is duas. 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 Let's say 2 nights. To make the word noite plural, again, we just need to add S at the end. So instead of noite, we have noites. S at the end always makes that soft sh. So, duas noites. Duas noites. If you want to say masculine 2, we go dois. And if you want to say feminine 2, we go duas. Dois, duas. So what if there's no following word? If we're just counting something, if we're doing some math, if we're saying a phone number, in that case, we always pick the masculine. Okay? So don't forget, let's say it's a phone number you want to say. It has the number 1 or the number 2 in there. There's no context, there's no following word. So you just pick the masculine. You just stick with dois. Okay, fortunately for the following numbers, we don't have a feminine version. So you just need to worry now, remembering uma, dois, duas. Let's see the following numbers. Number 3, we say três. Três. Again, there's the sh at the end, you see? Três. Number 4, quatro. 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 5, cinco. 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 Number 6, seis. Seis. You see again the sh? Seis. At the end only. Seis. Number 7, sete. 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 Number 8, oito. 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 Number 9, nove. 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 And number 10, dez. Dez. Now it's not the sound sh we have at the end this time. It's more the sound j. Dez. Okay, so you've learned from 0 to 10. We've learned that number 1 and number 2, if they are followed by a masculine word or a feminine word, they may change into uma, or dois, duas. Do you want to repeat the numbers from 0 to 10 with me? Okay, I will give you some time to repeat after me. I'll try to pronounce them very clearly and slowly. And then we can do the exact same exercise, but I can say them a bit quicker, in a more natural way. Okay, are you ready? Okay, so let's start with 0. 0, 1, uma, 2, duas, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Should we repeat them again? Slightly quicker this time? Okay, are you ready? 0, 1, uma, 2, duas, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, these first 10 numbers are really essential, but I would like to have a look at the following 10 with you. So let's learn today on this episode. We're going to learn the numbers up to 20. First number after 10 we have is 11. So the sound we need now is a more nasal on to start with, and we do onze. Onze. So this word ends at the letter E, or in Portuguese, E, and when we have a E at the end, we drop it. So if we're going to pronounce it very slowly, syllable by syllable, you get the word onze. But then it's not like that people pronounce it normally. So instead of doing a onze, we just need to do a onze. Finish with the sound z, onze. And keep that sound in mind, onze, because we're going to need it for the following numbers. Number 12, doze. It's the exact same situation. The last two letters, they are Z-E, or in Portuguese, Z-E. So what's going on here is that instead of doing it doze, people don't do that because it takes time, so we just go doze. Doze. You see, it's the same sound we used for 11. Onze. Onze. Doze. And again, for 13, we have treze. Again, also the word treze ends at Z-E, or in Portuguese, Z-E, or in Portuguese, Z-E. Okay? But again, we're dropping completely the last E sound. So instead of having treze, we have treze. Onze, doze, treze. Now, if you still remember how do we say two, and I will remind you, is dois. Now you see that 12 is similar but slightly different, because instead of having dois, that's two, we have doze. Dois, so sh at the end makes the number 2, dois. But then for 12 we have doze, and we have the z, a bit like a B sound, bzz, okay? Try to remember that. So the same thing, sometimes it might be confusing. You have the number 3, três. So at the end you have a sh, três, and then the number 13, treze. Treze. So três, 3, 13. I know how this can be a bit confusing, so that's why I'm insisting on this difference between 2 and 12, 2, 12, 3 and 13, 3, 13. So let's carry on. We have now the number 14, that is 14. And again we have the exact z at the end, 14. So from 11 we have 11, 12, 13, 14. And there's one more ending at z sound, the number 15, 15. Let's do it again. I think the repetition might help your memory, and also it might sink in better to pronunciation. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now the following 4 numbers, they work all on the same base. So for 16, 17, 18 and 19, the idea is that we have the word for 10, dash, followed by then the following number. For instance, 16, it's something like 10, 6. But the way we put the word 10 and the word for 6 in Portuguese together, dash, 6, then it doesn't totally sound like dash 6, it sounds more like 16. I will repeat very slowly. We have 3 syllables on this one. 16. It would be great if Portuguese could actually pronounce all the time 16. That would be so clear. But it's not like this people normally say it. They go a bit faster. Instead of 16, clearly 3 very well pronounced syllables, we hear people saying 16. Okay, I'll repeat it. I'll try to do it slowly. It sounds like 16. So instead of the original 3 syllables, we get 2. Instead of 16, we get 16. 16. And then we do exactly the same with 17. So the word itself is 17, but then people do it faster and it sounds like 17. 2 syllables instead of 3 again. So instead of 17, we have 17. Or faster, 17. For number 18, we reduce a bit because instead of having that sound in the middle, we have the word, okay, I will do it slowly, syllable by syllable as we write it. 18. 3 syllables again. 18. But how does it actually sound? 18. 18. 18. So again, it reduces to 2 syllables. I'll say them slower. 18. 18. Once again. 18. Okay, and finally 19. We go back to the idea of having a in the middle, 16, 17, and now we have 19. Actually 4 syllables if you count them correctly. We have 19. But we don't say it like that. We don't go 19. we go 19. So 4 syllables, they become 2. 19. 19. 19. And finally, the number 20, the last one we're going to learn today. 20 is 20. Again, the ending, we're dropping it because it ends on the letter E, or in Portuguese the letter E, and every time we have a word ending at E, we drop it. So instead of saying 20, we just go 20. Okay, I know that it sounded a lot. We're doing 20 minutes for 20 numbers, but I really wanted to give you some insight on the pronunciation. So now that we've learned the 20 first numbers, I want to repeat with you all of them at a normal pace to sound exactly like a Portuguese person would pronounce it. So let's come with me and repeat them. Okay, I'll try to be as clear as possible. 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I hope you've enjoyed our podcast today and see you next time. Até à próxima!